Hi, everyone. My name is Aisha Thomas with the Thomas Agency and the Thomas Agency of Georgia, a real estate company. And I am just showing you right now my contact information for anybody who needs to contact me. So there's my contact information. Website is getting rebuilt right now. Doing a little rebranding, but right now I'll just show you my contact information before I get started, give people time to join. Thanks for joining. Give me a little couple hearts. I'm about to flip it around. I have my no makeup, sorry. About to go get this hair done. You know, this rain won't let me be great. Ah, somebody can't see. Anyway, hi everyone. Like I was saying, my name is Aisha Thomas, and I'm with the Thomas Agency of Georgia. Just wanted to get on here and talk about it. I just did a thank you everyone for complimenting my son. This is Braxton. Say hi, Braxton. Wanted to get on here and discuss some common mistakes that first-time home buyers make. I actually just wrote a blog post for a major website. So even if it doesn't get picked up, I submitted it. I figured it's a good topic to talk about. So let's see. I'll just kind of glance over. If you see me glancing over, it's because I'm looking at some of my notes. But to talk about some of being educated is one of the most important things first-time home buyers should do to make sure the transaction is a smooth experience, and also to save you a lot of money as a first-time home buyer, because you don't want to spend unnecessarily amounts of money by making mistakes that could be costly later on or even in the beginning of your transaction. So, oh, and give me a couple hearts too if you're on here. But all right, so the first mistake, yeah, I have my assistant with me today. I'm hoping he'll cooperate. So I may just have to do two parts of this. I'm going to do part one, part two if he starts, fussing a little. Should you use your Streamline FHA? Well, it depends on what type of property you're buying. With FHA, if you're using an FHA mortgage, you have to live in it. So can't necessarily use it all the time for investments unless you're going to do a multifamily. Now, that's a good way to use FHA by buying a multifamily, living in one side, and letting your tenants pay your mortgage. But anyway, as I was saying, there's some first-time homebuyer mistakes that you want to avoid that could cost you later. So let me start. The first mistake is first-time homebuyers don't save enough money. And when I say don't save enough money, I'm not talking about just your down payment, because right now you can get a mortgage now with 3 to 5% down. Oh, I got a knock at the door. This sucks. Let me see. Let me see. Well, anyway, they'll just have to wait because I'm not expecting anyone. So anyway, I think that's UPS or something. But okay, so back to what I was saying. They don't save enough money. And I'm talking about beyond your down payment, because most down payments right now, even with a 580 credit score, you can put down 3 to 5%. But when you're transitioning from a renter to a home buyer, there's other incidental costs that a lot of people overlook as a first-time home buyer. Closing costs, especially if you don't ask your seller to contribute towards your closing costs. That's money that you'll need in addition to your down payment. And also, I know I can just speak from personal experience. When I transitioned from a renter to a homeowner, I got in that house, and if you live in a snowy climate like I did in Michigan, I got in that property and realized that I don't even have a rake, lawnmower. Those are incidental things that you don't think about because you've never had to be responsible for your grass and maintenance and tools and things of that nature. So you always want to have some incidental funds put up on top of your down payment and closing costs. So that's the first mistake first-time home buyers tend to make, is not saving enough money. The second one is, I'm just kind of glancing at my notes because I wrote all of this stuff down, is not taking advantage of down payment assistance programs and first-time homebuyer classes. And the reason why it's imperative that you consider taking advantage of these classes is that you get so many grants and funds that you don't even have to pay back just because you went through this class. So I always tell people, great, yes, great flowers. Yeah, and it kind of most of these programs require you take a first-time homebuyers class, and then that's one of the prerequisites to getting those fundings. It's a lot of times it's grant money, or even if it's not grant money, it's forgivable loans after a certain amount of time. So that's something definitely that's free money. It doesn't make sense. And now a caveat to that is that a lot of times those funds are allocated to certain areas, certain neighborhoods. So if you're buying in certain urban areas and regentrifying areas, you definitely should consider checking into first-time home buyer programs. And all major lenders and small lenders usually offer them, but you got to ask a lot of times. The next thing is first-time home buyers make the mistake of not knowing they're a first-time home buyer. Even if you've owned a property before, if it's been 3 years since the last time you owned a property, then you are indeed a first-time home buyer. So don't miss out on that free money. It's like crazy, some of the funds that are out here. When I purchased my first house, for example, I got an FHA. My first home was about $117,000 purchase price in Michigan. And I was able to get like $5,000. I put $3,000 down of my own money. I got about $7,000 in grant and block grant money because I was buying from a developer, a community developer, as well as through the bank at the time I was using, had a first-time home buyer program. And I did, of course, even myself have to go, even though I was a licensed realtor at that time, I still had to go through the first-time home buyer class. So just to kind of recap, the first thing is not saving enough money. The second one is not taking advantage of the down payment assistance programs and grant funds available. The third thing is not even knowing you're a first-time home buyer. Yeah, great. Yeah, Flowers Realty. I'm actually helping a first-time home buyer go through that process right now. That he is using FHA too, and I'm sorry, you guys, I got a call came in. His lender actually, he's using FHA to buy the multifamily, and his lender is saying, it takes a couple, because he's buying a fourplex, so they're saying it's a little bit more complicated, but it really isn't. They just, he just has to get the property, still has to appraise for the amount and pass the FHA inspection. It does have to be a move-in ready place when you're considering using an FHA loan. So okay, now the next thing is, I said the first one is not saving enough money. The next one is not taking advantage of first-time home buyer programs and down payment assistance programs. The third thing is not even knowing you're a first-time home buyer. Number 4 would be not getting an agent to represent your interests. And I'm not saying that just because I am an agent, but I am a proponent of having a buyer's agent, only because it doesn't cost you anything as a buyer to have a buyer's rep. And one of the advantages to that is that, they represent your interests and they can negotiate for you and help you navigate the waters and in making your offers. Because a lot of times people think, oh, it's better if I just go straight to the seller's agent. But you got to remember, their fiduciary duty is to the seller. So it would not hurt to make sure you have someone that has your best interest at heart by helping you navigate that process as well, and guiding you from using just your emotions, because a lot of first-time home buyers, they get emotionally attached to a property and want to overbid and things of that nature, where if you have a buyer's rep, they're going to say, hey, slow down, even though, of course, they make more money the more you pay. But if you have someone that is truly interested in helping you, they're going to make sure you make a smart offer and that you're an educated buyer, because depending on where you are, different cities have different rules in terms of certificate of occupancy, city inspections. Like, for instance, I'm using Michigan as an example, but certain cities in Michigan, your property doesn't even qualify for homestead. And a lot of people don't know that. So that's where a buyer's agent can come in and assist you and make sure you're asking for all the best terms in your contract, and as well as advise you on making the best offer based on the comparable properties in the area. Now, one more, and my assistant, and he's doing so well. Let's see, another thing. So I'll kind of recap so far. The first thing was not saving enough money. The next thing is not taking advantage of first-time homebuyer classes and down payment assistance programs. The third thing was not even knowing you're a first-time homebuyer. If you haven't owned a property in 3 years, you are in fact a first-time homebuyer and can qualify for a lot of these programs out here. I kind of touched on overbidding on the property, and that's not taking advantage. Another mistake is, like I said, is not taking advantage of having a buyer's agent or a representative, and that would kind of stop you from overbidding on property. If they are a good agent, they'll help you out with that. The next thing is not getting a home inspection. Just only using your cousin. Oh, my cousin fixes on houses. They can just come look at it real fast for me. Well, the $250 to $350 that it costs for a home inspection is priceless in terms of saving you in the long run and finding some hidden things, because the sellers don't always disclose things, even though they're supposed to if they know about it. But definitely, yeah, taking the easy way out. Oh, I can get somebody that fixes on houses to come look at it. When that $250 can save you some, long-term money. When they're looking at the foundation, they're looking at the roof, they're looking at all the mechanical systems. So that $250, $300 is worth spending up front to save yourself thousands later. So that's another mistake that first-time home buyers make, is not getting an inspection. The other thing, even if you're not in a closing attorney state, Georgia requires attorneys at all of the closing, but they're really there just to handle they're not going to sit there and go over your contract with you. But even if you're not in one of these states, I still recommend that you have an attorney look over your contract, or at least consult one if you are confused about the terms, if you're not satisfied with the explanation provided by your agent, or if you don't feel like they can explain it to you. And just for extra added protection, consult an attorney to protect your interests. And definitely when it comes to the title, and even consider buying buyer's title insurance. It's not always required, but that's another way to protect your investment, meaning that if some latent issues come up with the title, buyer's title insurance at least will help you or enable you to be able to get back what you paid for the property. You said you read something saying they require 20% when getting a 4. Oh, no, that's not true. Because I got a guy right now using FHA, and he definitely does not have 20% down. So I guess it just depends on the underwriting requirements. There are a lot of variables with that, credit. But yeah, that really just depends, because he definitely does not have 20% down. The client I'm working with right now, and he's still using that to buy a fourplex or quad, or whatever you want to call it, quadruplex. Okay, and so I kind of touched on all of them. Yeah, yes, quadruplex, duplex, either or, it's a great way to have somebody else use other people's money, as they call it, to pay your mortgage while you're building equity. So I'll kind of do a quick recap, since my assistant is being so good. You're such a good boy. He has on this sweater because we were getting ready to go. But he's being so good. The first mistake is not saving enough money beyond your down payment and closing costs, but also for incidentals involved with buying appliances, even, buying garden supplies when you're not used to doing that kind of stuff, when you're coming from an apartment or being a renter where you're usually not responsible for those things. I know I got in my house and didn't have a garden hose or anything. My poor little grass was looking crazy. I'm like, oh, I guess I got to water it now. But anyway, so that was the first thing, is not saving enough money. The second thing was not taking advantage of first-time homebuyer courses and down payment assistance programs. The third thing is not being aware that you are a first-time homebuyer and that you can qualify for these things, which are you're a first-time homebuyer if you haven't owned a home in 3 years. The fourth thing is not having an agent represent you as the buyer. It doesn't usually cost you anything as a buyer to have a buyer's agent rep. So those are kind of the main points. Those are some of the main mistakes that I see that first-time home buyers make. Not getting an inspection, not getting an attorney to review your documents, and not buying buyer's title insurance. So if anyone has any questions, shoot them. Otherwise, I just want to get on here and kind of reiterate some of the mistakes so you don't make them and you save yourself time, money, heartbreak, headache later on in your transaction. Or just to be my main thing is just making sure that buyers are more educated. My logo or my tagline for my company is to build legacies one property at a time. So it's really important to me that individuals build their own personal legacies through wealth through real estate. So if anyone doesn't have any questions, I just wanted to say have a great day and don't make those mistakes. You're welcome, Flowers Realty. You're gonna have it soon. You're gonna have it soon. Just keep saving, of course. Keep if you're working on your credit, the higher your credit score, the better as far as the terms and interest rates you get. Even though, like I was saying, they're offering as low as 580, but hey, if you can have your score higher, the better. Of course, the better for you long term and save. Okay, so if no one else has any questions, everyone have a great day, and we are gonna say goodbye. Say bye, Braxton. He has his little hat on. Let's see. Say hi. Say bye-bye. Little Drew. Alrighty. Don't stick your tongue out at the people. He's sticking his tongue out at you all. Say bye-bye.